All right, so what is MFA? MFA stands for multi-factor authentication. Now you might say, okay, Jeremy, I understand that we need authentication. Why do I need multiple factors? Well, in the security world, we're always trying to establish some form of trust. And especially in our new work from home world, trust between where a user is and what they're trying to access is important. So there are two widely accepted factors in establishing that you are who you say you are. The first is a knowledge factor, something you and you alone are supposed to know. And the second is a possession factor, something you and you alone have. For years, we've tried to rely simply on a single factor, that knowledge factor. So you'll type in your username and your password. Hopefully, your username and your password are something you and you alone have knowledge of. So you type those in, and then I know on the other side that I can trust that you are who you say you are. The problem is our knowledge factor is becoming unreliable. It's been broken largely thanks to two different things. Number one, the passwords we use are weak. We have weak passwords. Now, this still astonishes me every time I see this list because I feel as though we've done a good job getting the word out that you should use strong, long, complex passwords. But year after year, these reports come out, and I still see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the most commonly used passwords. Please don't use these passwords. If you do, your account, for all intents and purposes, is already compromised. If you use these passwords or even something similar. So number one, weak passwords are a problem. That being said, I know many of you are enforcing complex passwords, and I would love to tell you this is enough, but there's a second major reason we can no longer rely solely on a knowledge factor. And number two is stolen or compromised credentials. It seems like weekly, if not daily, there's another story about an organization whose records have been compromised. Company A lost 50 million records. Company B lost 500,000 records. You get lost in the numbers, but at the end of the day, your records are getting shared across the dark web, Tornet, hacker forums, whatever you want to call it. They're out there, and they're being leveraged. So this one is particularly concerning because your username and password may be compromised regardless of how complex it is. You may have done your due diligence as it concerns passwords and making them complex, but users tend to carry passwords with them. So even if you're enforcing at your organization that complex passwords are in use, a user may make that password up and then reuse it for their Amazon account or their bank account, or miscellaneous website ilovedogs.com account. So I have a decent level of trust in Amazon and my bank maybe to keep those credentials stored privately, but I have zero trust in ilovedogs.com. From a security perspective, it's probably time to consider the knowledge factor in our equation is compromised. So we need another factor. So let's move on to multiple factors using MFA, using that possession factor. And this doesn't have to be hard. MFA in practice goes like this. All right, step one on the left here, enter your knowledge factor, AKA username and password. Step two, establish your possession factor, which with the Duo app is as simple as clicking that green check mark on your phone when prompted. Shall we take it for a test drive? So here's a couple slides just kind of showing you how easy it is to walk through this process. Here we're going to log into Outlook. Again, using that knowledge factor. We still want to incorporate that username and password. And then you can see on the right here, I've got an iPhone for my possession factor. So here we go with Chris at Acme Corp, and he's going to type in his username and password, hit enter, and suddenly a new screen is kind of presented to us where you can identify your possession factor, what device you'll use to authenticate with. For example, I have, you can see the iPhone here, but I also have an iPad in use under my account. So whichever one is with me at the time, I can use as my possession factor. And then you simply choose the method. So Duo Push is certainly the easiest. It prompts me directly on my phone to perform the authentication. So we'll click Push. You can see we get a prompt on our iPhone, unlock it, and you're brought to the Duo screen. Now, this screen you'll kind of learn to zip right past, but let's take a moment to examine it. First, it tells me what application is being accessed, the Outlook web app. Then it tells me the user, where they're coming from a public IP address perspective. Looks like 21.63 maps to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then lastly, just a date/timestamp. So it's a great quick check that everything is as it should be. This happens to me from time to time. I've enabled Duo for my LastPass account. For those of you that aren't familiar, it's a password manager. And so that's very critical to me. I want to protect that. So I've got two-factor authentication enabled on there. Sometimes I'll be at work and all of a sudden it pops up because my wife is trying to access our usernames and passwords stored in LastPass. And so, I don't take it at face value, even though it looks pretty good. I'll text her real quick, hey, are you trying to access that? Yes, I am. Great. Approve, and we're in. So once this screen comes up, you simply hit approve, and then we can see Outlook loaded for us. Wasn't that easy? So let's try it again, this time without the slides. So here at NSI, we try and utilize the technology that we recommend to our customers to use. So I'm going to go ahead and get a share going here. Bear with me 1 minute while I share my iPhone screen. And this is going to look pretty similar to what we just went through. But it'll give you an idea of the software. So we use Duo in tandem with AnyConnect, with Remote Access VPN. So here you can see I've got AnyConnect loaded. I'm going to jump into NSI. I hit connect. With any luck, I'll remember my password and type it correctly the first time. So I hit OK. And the screen share is just a little bit behind on my iPhone, but you'll see I get a prompt at the top that says AnyConnect from Granger is trying to load. And it'll come up and I'll hit approve. There's the request. The app loads. I simply hit the approve checkbox and we're in. Now, Eric referenced a little bit of device hygiene that Duo has integrated with it. So you can see at the bottom it says we've detected some security issues with your device. Now you can put policies in place to determine whether this device would still be allowed to be used. For now, I'm going to go ahead and click Fix Now. And you can see it comes up and it says, oh, you got a couple problems. You need to update your Duo software as well as your iOS. So that is Duo in a nutshell. Again, Cisco's drive is to give you more security, but without a ton of additional complexity that comes with it. And Duo is a great example of that.